What's going on, gamers? Ian here. We are taking a look at some of the games that I have on my shelf for the PS3. And as you guys may or may not know, I am in the process of packing up my entire video game collection. I'm getting prepared to move out of El Paso, Texas, and just start my life somewhere else. Um, so I mean, it's an amazing console. I love the PlayStation 3. I've had a PlayStation 3 basically since it came out. Not day one, but close enough to say that I've had the original PlayStation 3. Um, so we are looking at the back half of my collection. I'm taking it off my game collection apart in separate parts. So I started taking away from the back end before I get to the front end. So we are looking at, I believe, alphabetically the letter N onward. So yeah, let's get started. First, we have Naughty Bear. So this is a game that I was really excited for. I mean, it looked just violent and fun, and yeah, I don't really know if it really delivered what I was hoping for. It got really boring to me very fast. I ended up returning it to GameStop about 2 days after I bought it, and then I ended up picking this copy up very cheap, under $5. So yeah, that game just never really, really hit it off with me. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. So as you can see, I still have the sale sticker on here. So I got this for $9 way back in the day. Love this game. Had a lot of fun with the fighting mechanics and stuff like that. And I'm not really a fighting game kind of guy. So that was one that I actually did enjoy though. Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire. I picked this up for like $3 at Kmart, and yeah, it was one of the original PlayStation 3 games that I've ever owned, and it was just because I couldn't pass it up at that price. I want to say I picked this up, and I picked up like Dragon Age, or like the same day, and the Dragon Age, like Origins Awakening, which is like the expansion pack plus the game was like $5. So I think I got a steal. So I think I got both of these under $10. All right, Mirror's Edge. So this was one that has been sitting on my backlog for basically ever. I've had this on my backlog for years and years. I finally got around to beating it, and I mean, it just never really, never really grabbed my interest that much. But once I finally did get into it, I mean, I finished it relatively fast. I didn't have it like I had played the original, like the first level, and then I put it down, and I put it down for like 3 or 4 years. Then I picked it up, and then that's when I finally beat it. All right, MIB Alien Crisis. It's PlayStation Move compatible. That's what I have to say about that. Metro Last Light. Now this is a great game. It's based off of a book series. Just an amazing world. I would definitely recommend looking into it. If you're a fan of Fallout, definitely look into this. I mean it's similar to Fallout. That's how I would describe it. Medal of Honor Warfighter. Yeah, I mean you can see that they were trying to compete with Call of Duty when they were making these Medal of Honor games, and it just unfortunately didn't live up to the hype. And I mean I still think it's a solid shooter. I definitely recommend picking it up if you can find it under $5. Medal of Honor Airborne. So yeah, this game, it actually took me a long time to get around to buying this game because it just held its value. I mean, it was one of the I think it was a launch title. I could be wrong, but I know it came out around the time that the PS3 was launched. Um, and yeah, it's just I mean, it just held its $12. Not many other launch titles or games that came out around that time held that price. So I eventually pulled the trigger just because I love the airborne, love the idea of parachuting into combat, and it just it was fun, but the controls and the mechanics of it were heavily dated, and that was one of the things that I was like, you know what, I wish I would have played it earlier. All right, we have a game that I can't play anymore, and no one can, and that is Mag. So this is massive action game, I believe, and yeah, I just never really got into it. I popped it in, played a little bit, and when the servers shut down, I was like, okay, I can say that there's nothing left for me to do, so I'm gonna put it on my shelf, and it just basically is a placeholder on my shelf. In fact, I have the original receipt in here for it. I mean, that is cool, but yeah, it sucks that they make these games that don't have campaigns that rely on those online servers, and once those online servers are gone, that's it. All right, next we have Lost the video game. So this is Lost Via Domus, which I believe means way home, and yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. I rented it way back in the day. Finally got around to buying a copy of it, and yeah, it's just a in my opinion, it is a fun game. I can't say if it's going to be fun for you, but just because I was such a big fan of the Lost series, I really enjoyed it. Moving on, we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2. So I actually have Rainbow Six Vegas to go along with that. Unfortunately, Rainbow Six Vegas is in this yuck container. I don't like these. I'm gonna eventually try to replace that. But yeah, these games, they were all right. They don't have trophy support. It didn't really grab my interest. I had to struggle and sit down and get through. But maybe that's because I played it so late into like I played this when the PS4 was out. So that, if I would have picked it up when the game came out, I'm sure I would have loved it, and I would have had very fond memories of these two games, but that was not the case. All right, we have another Tom Clancy game, Tom Clancy's End War. This was another video game that I rented way back in the day. Beat it, really enjoyed it. Loved the voice mechanics. That was interesting. So you could say, unit attack this unit and stuff like that. Something along those lines. It's been a while since I played it. I played this when it originally came out, and I eventually picked it up for $1.79. So yeah, I actually did enjoy End War. All right, here we go. This is one of my favorite game series, Time Crisis. So this includes Time Crisis, Raising Storm, Time Crisis 4, and a Pirates game. I've never played the Pirates game, but yeah, Time Crisis 4 and Time Crisis Raising Storm, had a lot of fun with both of those. I actually think that I did not play this with the move mechanics. So I think I actually played it with a regular controller, just using the reticle and stuff like that, and just it was difficult. But yeah, I really owe it to myself to go through and play it with the move now that I own one. All right, Terminator Salvation. So this was one of my first platinum trophies ever, and I believe that all you had to do to get the platinum was beat the game on the hardest difficulty, and the hardest difficulty was not even that hard. I rented it, beat it in a day, and that was back when I was living with my parents and stuff like that, and they were helping me rent video games and stuff like that, and I was like, hey, I beat this game, and they were just so surprised. They were upset, actually. My mom was like, how'd you finish the game? You just got it today. But it just was not a very long game. Okay, here we go. We have the Force Unleashed 2. So I have the regular edition and the Steelbook. I picked the Steelbook up not too long ago, and I just love the Steelbook case. And I also have the Star Wars The Force Unleashed. So this is the Greatest Hits edition. Not a really big fan of Greatest Hits, but hey, I'm a big fan of the original Star Wars before I think Disney came in and ruined it. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know if you disagree. I mean, there's still, it's a matter of opinion. So I'm not gonna sit here and say your opinion's wrong. But for me, I just am not a big fan of the new Star Wars. Moving on, we have Star Trek. So this one, again, I played this late into the PS3's life cycle. The PS4 was already out. In fact, I want to say I beat this earlier this year or late last year, and it was fun from what I remember. Not really much to say. We have Soul Calibur 4. So I mean, this was one that I picked up recently, and I played it when it came out. So I can't really remember much about it, but I remember playing as Darth Vader, and that was a cool aspect of it. Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution. So this was one that I originally rented as well. Had a lot of fun with that. I've always been a fan of the Civilization games. I remember growing up playing those on the computer and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to say that there's a Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution 2, but I believe it's like a PSP or PS Vita exclusive, something like that. And I don't know why they never released it on the regular console. The Saboteur. So this one, I actually love this game. It's amazing in my opinion. So it takes place in Paris during World War II, the Nazi occupation of Paris, and as you liberate districts, it becomes more colorful and vibrant. Um, Basically, when you start the game, it's black and white, and that's how the game is. And as you liberate and you free the areas, their colors slowly introduced. So I thought that was a very interesting way of kind of getting the message across that how terrible World War II was, and how much the Nazi occupation just sucked the life out of people. Rogue Warrior. So this was one that I got when I was in my initial entry training in Fort Sill. I was going through my advanced individual training basically, and I picked this up at GameStop. Um, Not really a fun game. I remember playing it, and people in the day room, which is like a common room, were just sitting there watching me play it, and they're like, "Oh man, that game looks like it sucks," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it does." But I mean, this is a game made by Bethesda, and a lot of people forget that it's a Bethesda game because they're so used to those Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, type games. And yeah, here we go. We have Resistance 3. This was one that I got the Platinum Trophy on relatively quickly. I actually played through it with a second controller by myself just to get the Platinum Trophy. And loved this game. I've been a fan of the Resistance franchise. In fact, let's just cover all of three of them. So I have the entire Resistance franchise right here. I did not own Resistance 3. My buddy actually bought it when it first came out, and I borrowed it from him once he beat the game. And I finally ended up picking it up because it was only like $5. Um, but yeah, I think that was a great game. Resistance 2, loved this game, hated the ending, but like I really wish they would have went in a different direction with the series. But that was the turning point where what happens, and then that led into 3. But yeah, Nathan Hale I think is one of my favorite PlayStation characters of all time. He's still my avatar on PSN. And we have Resistance Fall of Man. Now, this was the game that sold me on the PS3. I remember watching the commercials for PS3, and I remember watching the commercials for Resistance Fall of Man, and just watching these soldiers drop out of helicopters, and they're running, and there's artillery rounds smacking into them and stuff like that. And then, of course, you have the Chimera, which is the alien species that's invading Europe, and it's just so fun. I love the concept. It's just amazing. I love the big, large-scale battles, and I think that's one of the things that this game really did well is the large-scale battles. That feeling of you're just one soldier, and there's hundreds of soldiers around you. At least that's how I remember it. It could have been like 10, 15, but you're just part of this charge, and then you just get to be a complete awesome, badass, you know, and just wipe out the opposing chimera, and it's just so fun. Love the sci-fi aspect of that game. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. So this was not as good as it as they intended it to be. That's how I'm gonna phrase that. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but I think they had higher hopes for that than you know than they achieved. So Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. So this is the expansion. This is the first that introduction to the series that I ever had. I picked this up again at Kmart. Got it relatively cheap. I want to say under $5, and it was awesome. This is a standalone. You do not need Red Dead Redemption to play, and it wasn't until years later that I was like, you know what? I really need to play Red Dead Redemption. Everyone's talking about this game. I knew Red Dead Redemption 2 was being announced and it was going to come out. So I had to go and get it. Unfortunately, I got it in this crappy GameStop case. All right. We have Ratchet and Clank All for One. This is a multiplayer Ratchet and Clank game. I had a lot of fun with it. I actually played through a few missions with a friend recently. My friend Kevin came down here to Texas, to visit me, and we played not on the PS3. We played on the PS4 through the PS Now, but had a lot of fun playing that. So there we go on that. The Orange Box. So this was the way that I got to play Half-Life 2. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Half-Life series, and yeah, it was. I never got into Team Fortress. Never really got into Portal. I know that's a surprise to a lot of people. I've always wanted to get into it, but I just never have really had the motivation to go back and pop this back in my PS3. But yeah, no, I think this is a great collection of games. Moving on, we have Prototype 2. So I played the original Prototype, love that. Surprisingly I don't own that, but I played Prototype 2, completed the campaign. A lot of fun. I prefer Prototype 1 though. That's just my preference. All right. Operation Flashpoint Red River. So this is my first Operation Flashpoint game that I've ever played, and I have to say it is very, very realistic. I mean, just a few shots will take you down, and yeah, it was kind of a struggle getting through because I didn't do the multiplayer, so I just played by myself. And AIs, they can be helpful or they can be harmful, and it really depends on the luck that you have. Those RNG, All right, moving on. We have Uncharted. So we have the Uncharted series. Love all these games. Uncharted, I originally rented this way back in the day, and this is the game that I was playing when my original PS3 had the yellow light of death. So if you don't know what the yellow light of death is, it is a terrible, terrible tragedy if you ever get one of those. And it was a backwards compatible PS3, and I had to send it in, and it was just terrible. But I remember I was climbing the cliffs in that game, and I was swinging, I think, like on a vine, and then all of a sudden my PlayStation powered down. And that is just a haunting memory that I will always have, but I love this series. We have Untold Legends Dark Kingdom. So my buddy Rigo actually gave me this back in the day. I think he got it for pretty cheap. And he just, I guess, didn't really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. It reminded me a lot of like Baldur's Gate. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun. I have vague memories of just going through caves and killing golems, And yeah, I think that's an actually like a fun game. Um, Not a fun game. Vampire Rain, Altered Species. Now this was a drag to get through. Not a really big fan of this game, but I own it and I've played through it. This is one I actually did have a lot of fun. I rented this and I recently picked it up. So any game that I say that I rented, I played before I was 18 years old. Because at 18 years old, I joined the army, and then I went off to Korea and did my own thing. But yeah, as a teenager, I played this, had a lot of fun. This is Viking Battle for Asgard, and yeah, I really think that this is a underrated game. Definitely, I would say that's a hidden gem. Not a hidden gem. Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Again, base GameStop cover, just the basic of the basic, without a manual. I mean, it's Walking Dead Survival Instinct. It's not a good game. Moving on, we have our last little bit of games. So we have Wanted Weapons of Fate. This I played through. I mean, it's all right. Not anything special. If you like the movie, you might like the game. Warhammer 40K, Space Marine. Again, this kind of just sat on my backlog for a long time. I eventually played through, and I had a lot of fun, but it just sat on my backlog for so long that it became kind of like a labor of love. Watchmen End is Nigh, so I picked this up for like $1.79. It's the game only. I guess the game was released in conjunction with the movie, I believe. But yeah, so this is just the game, and it's like a fighting game, with Watchmen characters. Way of the Samurai 3. Love the Way of the Samurai series. I've been playing since the original Way of the Samurai. I rented that. I want to say I was like 13, 14 years old when I rented that, and I just had so much fun. Had to track down a copy of that. When I tracked down a copy of that, I was so excited. I rented Way of the Samurai 2. Just recently, I got the physical copy of that, and that was a pain trying to track down. Got this as soon as I could find a physical copy, and I actually just picked up Way of the Samurai 4. Love this series. It's just an amazing game series in my opinion. Wet. So yeah, this I like the main character. I remember her name is Ruby, and that's about it. I do remember that I really enjoyed playing this. I think it was a very artistically styled game, and it's made by Bethesda as well. All right, Wolfenstein. Eh, this was not the reboot that Wolfenstein needed, but it is a Wolfenstein game. I believe it's not even canon anymore, but who knows? I might be wrong on that. Yakuza, Dead Souls, in the plain GameStop case. Now, this is the game that got me into the Yakuza series. I remember I downloaded the demo, had a lot of fun with the demo, and I just got into this game, and it's just amazing. I love the Yakuza series, and this is the game that I will always remember got me into it. I'm actually in the process of going through Yakuza Kiwami 2. I own the original Yakuza 1 and 2 on the PS2, and I have the intent on going and completing those games. And I just love that series. I can't wait to get the Yakuza PS4 collection when that releases. And we have our final game for right now, and that is the Japanese import of Galagun. So my Japanese games, like for how I do it, I have everything on my shelf in alphabetical order, and then Japanese games go at the end. So I've only sat through and played one Japanese PS3 game, and that was Galagun. Um, I'm gonna say this: it was a little difficult trying to play the game not speaking Japanese, but nonetheless, I had a lot of fun. Because I played through Galagun Double Peace on PS4, and yeah, like this is definitely a unique, weird game that I love having that in my collection. And look at the case. I mean, you know, compared to a PS3 case, it's a little bit bigger. Very, very unique. It grabs attention, and I love that in my collection. So there we go. That is my PS3 collection, at least the first half. I will get to the other half in another video later on, but I have to pack all this stuff up, get it off my shelf, and just get ready to move because I am leaving the army, and it's just, one of those things that, I just can't wait to get out of this apartment. Nothing against this place. I love this apartment, but it's just one of those things I just want to get on, move on with my life, and live where I want to live for a change. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye bye.